What if forgetting names isn't the first domino? What if the earliest whispers of dementia hide in a restless mood, a subtle change in how you walk, or the way you respond to a simple question? Nearly 7 million Americans live with dementia today, and most never notice the earliest clues because they didn't look like brain problems. Scientists now believe those changes can begin a decade or two before a diagnosis, quiet shifts in networks that handle judgment, balance, language, and timing. In one large study, tiny behavior changes predicted future decline with striking accuracy. Translation: you can be living your normal life while your brain is quietly rerouting. The good news? When you know what to watch for, you move from feeling helpless to taking action. I'm going to walk you through 11 overlooked early signs, moving from the least concerning to the most urgent, so you can spot patterns in yourself or someone you love. Stay with me to the end, because the number one sign doesn't start in your memory at all, and it carries a powerful link to future heart trouble that almost no one is checking for. Ready to see what others miss? Let's start with a quiet shift that often slips past family and friends: impulsive choices and shaky judgment. It can look innocent: over-tipping without noticing, clicking on too good to be true offers, or signing up for subscription after subscription you'll never use. You might find yourself trusting strangers more than you used to, or acting without the thoughtful pause that once came naturally. Inside the brain, the systems in the frontal lobes that supervise planning, self-control, and risk-reward decisions may be losing efficiency. Those networks are the grown-ups in the room. When they're dulled, the brakes feel spongy. Research tracking older adults over several years has tied new-onset financial missteps and reduced impulse control to a meaningfully higher chance of later cognitive decline. It's rarely dramatic at first, which is why people brush it off as being generous or living a little. The signal to pay attention is the pattern: repeated out-of-character decisions, less planning, and more, "Oops, I didn't think that through." This isn't about shame. It's about noticing the dashboard lights before the engine overheats. The next early clue often masquerades as, "I'm just not in the mood," stepping back from social life. Maybe you skip the weekly coffee you used to love, drift away from your walking group, or let calls go to voicemail because conversation feels oddly tiring. This isn't simply introversion. As early changes touch areas involved in language processing, attention, and reading facial cues, socializing becomes work. Keeping up with the thread of a lively chat or finding the right word in real time can feel like climbing uphill. So the brain takes the path of least resistance. Avoid the challenge. Large population studies have shown that growing isolation and reduced social engagement can precede measurable cognitive decline and raise risk over the following years, even when memory tests still look fine. Watch for a shrinking social circle, shorter visits, and subtle detours away from group settings you used to enjoy. It's not about forcing yourself into loud parties. It's about noticing when withdrawal isn't a choice, but a coping mechanism. If that sounds familiar, the next steps are gentle. Smaller groups, quiet environments, predictable routines, and structured activities where conversation is buffered by doing something side by side. Another sign hides in plain sight: tiny slips in how you read your environment. You bump a hip on the same coffee table. You misjudge a curb. Parking feels trickier. Distances look off. Your eyes may be healthy, yet the brain's visual pathways, the parietal and occipital regions that map space and depth, can start sending fuzzier coordinates. That means your cup is there, but your reach is a half-inch short. Or the hallway seems level until your shoe catches on nothing. Studies have linked declining visuospatial skills to higher dementia risk within a few years, sometimes even when memory performance still looks normal. These slips are easy to laugh off as clumsiness, but frequency matters. Are you nicking the garage wall more often? Spilling while pouring even when you're not rushing? Feeling uneasy in dim lighting or unfamiliar stores? Jot down the moments. Patterns reveal what one incident hides. Before you jump to conclusions, check your vision and lighting, rule out medications that cause dizziness, and consider simple supports. Contrasting colors on steps, better task lighting, and a slower pace during transitions. If the misjudgments are new and repetitive, bring them up with your clinician. Now, think about familiar tasks that used to run on autopilot. Cooking a signature dish, paying the household bills, or following your favorite multi-step craft. Lately, you might find yourself checking the recipe 3 times, losing track halfway through online banking, or pausing mid-task with a blank feeling, what comes next? This isn't about forgetting a fact. It's about sequencing and execution, functions anchored in frontal and parietal networks that coordinate steps into a smooth chain. When those circuits falter, the chain gets kinked. You might start a task, wander to another, and then struggle to reconnect the dots. Research has shown that difficulty completing multi-step daily activities can be a meaningful harbinger of future decline. Keep an eye out for repeated detours, the dishwasher half-loaded because you answered a text and never returned, or the TV remote feeling new, even though it's the same one you've used for years. Workarounds help. Break tasks into visible steps, use checklists, set one-tap timers for each step, and do one thing at a time, no multitasking. The goal isn't perfection, it's to see the trend early and support it compassionately. Let's talk about words, because language errors can be surprisingly early and surprisingly frustrating. You know the word refrigerator, but the word won't come. You settle on the cold thing and hope context carries you through. Everyone has tip-of-the-tongue moments. What's different here is the frequency and the workaround. You might start using placeholders, thing, stuff, that, more often, or sidestep complex topics you used to enjoy. The left temporal region helps you retrieve names and nouns quickly. When it's under strain, conversations feel like fishing with a short line. Studies following adults with frequent word-finding gaps suggest an elevated risk of later Alzheimer's, even before obvious memory problems emerge. There's no need to panic over a bad day. Look for a pattern across settings, at home, with friends, at appointments. Are you defaulting to simpler language to keep up? Helpful supports include giving yourself a beat before speaking, keeping stress lower during conversations, and practicing gentle naming tasks. Describe 5 items in the room. Name animals by letter. Most importantly, let loved ones finish your sentence only when you ask. That preserves dignity and confidence while you build strategies. Here's one that gets dismissed as personality or a rough patch. Rising anxiety and restlessness without a clear trigger. Crowded grocery stores feel overwhelming. A loud restaurant that never bothered you is suddenly unbearable. You find yourself pacing, fidgeting, or needing to escape a situation you can't explain. The brain's emotion regulation loop, particularly areas involved in interpreting threat and applying the brakes, may be less synchronized, so ordinary stimuli feel too much. Studies have linked new-onset anxiety in older adults, especially when paired with mild memory slips, to a significantly higher chance of developing dementia within a few years. That doesn't mean anxiety equals dementia. Many conditions can fuel it. But if your baseline has changed and the unease grows steadily, it deserves attention. What helps right now? Control the controllables. Choose quieter times to shop. Sit with your back to a wall in restaurants. Use noise-dampening earbuds. Practice short, slow breathing cycles. Inhale 4, exhale 6, to calm your nervous system on demand. Track when the anxiety shows up, how intense it is, and what helps. That record gives your clinician something concrete to evaluate rather than, I feel off. There's a related visual clue that's easy to miss because the eyes seem fine. Reading and visual comprehension feel heavier. You look at the newspaper and your eyes keep landing on the same line. Diagrams, maps, menus with columns, even TV subtitles take more effort to process. You might read a paragraph and realize you absorbed none of it. This isn't about lens strength. It's about how efficiently your brain can decode and integrate what your eyes deliver. Posterior regions involved in symbol handling and integration may be slower, so your attention slips away. Large studies have associated new difficulties in reading comprehension and visual interpretation with higher odds of early cognitive symptoms over subsequent years. If this sounds familiar, eliminate the easy culprits first: dry eyes, poor lighting, glare, medications that sedate. Then adjust the environment in your favor. High contrast print, larger fonts, finger tracking under each line, chunking text into shorter sections, and reading aloud when needed. Audiobooks can bridge the gap and keep the love of stories alive while you build strategies. Again, patterns matter. When a long-standing reader begins avoiding the page, that's a gentle nudge to check in. Another everyday signal, often chalked up to a lazy day, is slipping personal care. Showers get skipped. Teeth brushing slides to later. Clothes repeat more days in a row, and not because you planned it. This isn't about pride or motivation alone. It's the executive system struggling to initiate, sequence, and complete routines that once ran themselves. When that initiation spark dims, even small steps feel strangely heavy. Research with individuals in the earliest stages of cognitive change shows grooming and hygiene often decline before families notice memory loss. Watch for change from baseline. If you always enjoyed picking a coordinated outfit and now wear whatever is nearest, ask, is the choice process too complex? Simplify the steps. Lay out outfits in sets. Use a shower caddy with items in exact order. Put a visual checklist on the bathroom mirror. Set gentle, repeating reminders that feel supportive, not scolding. If you're a caregiver, offer choices that are easy to say yes to. Would you like the blue shirt or the soft gray one? Rather than, what do you want to wear? The goal is dignity, not perfection. Quick pause while we're in the middle of this. If this breakdown is helping you see patterns more clearly, take a second to subscribe to Senior Vitality Pro and tell me your age or where you're watching from in the comments. I read them, and your stories shape what I cover next. Your lived experience helps this community spot what matters sooner. Now to assign families notice but normalize for too long, repeating yourself without realizing it. You share a story, then circle back 5 minutes later and tell the same story again. You ask about dinner plans, get an answer, and ask again in the same conversation. We all retell things, but here the repetition is tighter in time and less anchored to recent feedback. The hippocampus, the hub for forming and filing new memories, may not be stamping fresh experiences reliably, so the brain reaches for what it already has. The same question, the same anecdote. Studies have found that frequent, unrecognized repetition can strongly predict a near-term diagnosis in at-risk individuals. If you notice this in yourself, try not to shrink from conversations out of embarrassment. Use external supports. A small notepad or phone note titled Today, with appointments, meals, and key answers. A shared family calendar visible on the fridge. Gentle scripts with loved ones like, I might ask twice, just point to the note we made. If you're hearing repeats from someone you love, respond with calm consistency rather than, you already told me. Aim for connection first, correction second. Losing your place in time is another early clue. Less, I missed a meeting, and more, I can't hold on to what day, month, or season I'm in. You wake up unsure if it's Tuesday or Friday. You put on a sweater for a hot day or plan for an event that happened last week. The brain network that helps us orient to past, present, and near future may be drifting, so the internal calendar slips out of focus. Research has shown that people who develop frequent time disorientation are more likely to progress in their cognitive symptoms in the near term. Safety matters here. Missing medications, appointments, or meals becomes more likely when time won't stick. Build scaffolding that doesn't depend on memory. Large digital clocks that display day, date, and morning, afternoon. Medication organizers with alarms and lids that only open at the right time. A simple morning and evening routine posted where you'll see it. Anchor time to events. After breakfast, short walk. After lunch, call Sam. If you're caring for someone with this challenge, avoid quizzing. What day is it? And instead, orient kindly. Good morning, it's Thursday the 12th. We're heading to the clinic at 10. Before we reach the most urgent sign, a reminder. None of these by themselves make a diagnosis. Many medical issues, sleep apnea, thyroid changes, mood disorders, medication side effects, hearing or vision loss, can mimic or magnify these patterns. The power is in noticing persistent new changes across different settings over weeks and months. Keep a simple log. Choose 3 or 4 categories: memory, mood, movement, daily tasks, and jot brief notes. You're not trying to catch someone out. You're trying to see trends no one can hold in their head. Then, bring that to a clinician who can evaluate the whole picture, order the right tests, and help you build a plan. Early evaluation isn't a label, it's leverage. It opens doors to treatable contributors and gives you time to put supports in place while independence is still strong. Now, let's talk about the #1 sign that almost no one connects to the brain until it's been happening for a while. Watch the way you walk. I mean, really watch it. Has your pace slowed without knee or hip pain to explain it? Are you dragging one foot a bit, taking shorter steps, or swinging one arm less? Do you feel a hair less stable when you turn? Gait is a whole brain performance. Cerebellum for coordination, basal ganglia for rhythm, motor cortex for precision, and frontal systems for planning and initiation. When those circuits communicate less smoothly, your walk becomes less fluid. Multiple studies have shown that slower gait speed and subtle rhythm changes can predict future cognitive decline over the next several years, sometimes before traditional memory tests flag trouble. Here's the eye-opener. Early gait disturbances in older adults have also been linked to higher future risk of heart problems, including heart failure, even before any obvious cardiac symptoms. In other words, your feet can telegraph messages from your brain and your heart. That's powerful because gait is observable. You can video a hallway walk, measure 10 meters with a tape, time your usual pace every month, and see if there's drift. If walking looks different and there's no orthopedic reason, put that data on your doctor's desk. Now that you've seen the full map, from impulse control and social shifts to vision, language, anxiety, daily routines, repetition, time sense, and gait, let's talk about what to do this week. Start with a baseline. Pick simple, repeatable checks. Walk 10 meters at a comfortable pace and time it. Read a short paragraph aloud and summarize it in 1 sentence. Prepare a simple 2-step recipe and note any hiccups. Name as many animals as you can in 60 seconds. Rate daily anxiety from 0 to 10 in a tiny notebook. Repeat monthly. These are not diagnostic tests, they're snapshots. If you notice clear downward trends across several areas, book an appointment. Ask for a broad evaluation: cognition, mood, sleep, hearing, vision, medications, blood pressure, blood sugar, thyroid, B12, and a review of vascular risk factors. Small course corrections early, treating hearing loss, correcting sleep apnea, adjusting medications, can make a big difference in how the brain functions day to day. At home, think about building a brain-smart routine, simple, consistent, and kind to future you. Movement most days, with a mix of walking, light strength, and balance practice. 5 minutes counts. 2 sets of sit-to-stands from a chair, heel-to-toe line walking along a counter for support, and a gentle daily stretch for ankles and hips to support gait. Feed the brain with steady fuel, a plate that leans heavier on plants, fish or beans, olive oil, nuts, and colorful vegetables. Hydration matters more than you think. Protect sleep by honoring wind-down cues, dim lights, cooler room, consistent bedtime, and a short list of relaxing rituals you enjoy. Keep cognitive engagement fun. Learn a new pattern on a musical instrument, practice a different walking route, or join a low-pressure class where conversation follows activity. And stay social in ways that fit your energy. Small gatherings, one-on-one calls, or volunteering where roles are clear and interactions are predictable. Communication strategies reduce stress for everyone. If word finding is tricky, don't rush. Give yourself permission to pause. If you're supporting someone, resist jumping in to complete their sentences unless they nod for help. Instead, ask, "Would you like a hint?" If repetition is frequent, create a shared today board, appointments, meals, contacts, and refer to it rather than correcting out loud each time. For time disorientation, align the environment. Large clocks, calendars with the week's highlights, and gentle orientation statements woven into conversation. After lunch, it's your favorite show. Tomorrow is the garden group. Keep choices simple. 2 options, both acceptable. And when anxiety rises, lower the sensory load. Quieter rooms, softer lighting, fewer simultaneous tasks, while you guide with a calm, confident voice. The emotional tone you set can soothe the brain's alarm system faster than explanations can. Safety upgrades do not have to feel clinical. Think in terms of friction and flow. Add contrast strips on the edge of steps so depth is easier to judge. Keep walkways wide and clear of small rugs. Improve lighting along common paths, especially from bed to bathroom. Label drawers with words or pictures to reduce search and frustration loops. Use medication organizers that lock and unlock on schedule. Put frequently used items at waist height to avoid bending and reaching risks. If driving has become stressful or parking misjudgments are mounting, consider a driving assessment and build a plan for alternatives before urgency forces the issue. For financial safety, enable transaction alerts on accounts, set lower daily limits, and designate a trusted second set of eyes, ideally through formal arrangements, to catch odd charges without shaming or panic. The sooner these supports are normal, the less they feel like loss, and the more they feel like smart design. Caregivers, you're carrying a lot. Your observations are invaluable because you see trends over time. Keep notes, but also keep yourself resourced. Short, regular breaks are not luxuries. They are protective medicine for you and for the person you love. Explore adult day programs, respite care, and community groups where you can speak freely with people who understand the emotional and practical load. When conversations spiral, pivot to the emotion rather than the facts. You're worried. You want to get home. You're frustrated. And meet that feeling with validation first. Scripts can help. You're safe. I'm with you. We'll handle this together. None of this is about perfection. It's about staying connected while you navigate changes neither of you chose. That connection, eye contact, warm tone, familiar routines, does more to ease fear than any single tip I can give. I want to circle back to the beginning because the whole point of spotting early signs is opportunity, not dread. These changes, if they show up, often unfold slowly. The earlier you notice patterns, the more levers you and your clinicians have. Treat what's treatable, support what's vulnerable, protect what's strong. If you've heard yourself in 1 or 2 of these signs, don't jump to worst-case scenarios. Start a simple log, make practical home tweaks, and schedule an evaluation that looks at the whole you. If you recognize someone you love, bring these observations with kindness, not confrontation. I've noticed a few things and I care about your health. Can we talk with the doctor together? Remember, brains are resilient. They respond to routine, rest, movement, and connection. Progress isn't linear, but support pays compound interest over time. Before we wrap, a quick checklist you can screenshot in your mind and act on this week. 1. Set a monthly 10-meter walk timing and keep the hallway free of clutter. 2. Install a large day-date time clock where you look most often. 3. Create a today note, paper or phone, so answers live outside memory. 4. Fold a few anxiety soothers into your pocket, slow breathing, noise-dampening earbuds, and a plan to exit overstimulating places gracefully. 5. Schedule hearing and vision checks if it's been more than a year. The brain listens through the ears and sees through the eyes. 6. Pick one social connection that feels easy and put it on the calendar. 7. Choose one joyful, doable movement and do it most days. 5 minutes counts. That's it. Small, steady steps build momentum. You now have a map to the early signs that most people miss. Impulsive choices, social withdrawal, spatial slips, choppy multi-step tasks, word-finding gaps, unease without cause, heavier reading, sliding self-care, repeating questions, time drifting, and gait that loses its music. None of these alone equals a diagnosis. Together, repeated over time, they're worthy of attention. If this conversation opened your eyes, share it with a sibling, a neighbor, or a friend at your walking group. The sooner we all learn to hear the soft alarms, the more lives we protect. The mind, the body, and the relationships that make life worth living. Take care of your future self today. And if you've noticed any of these signs in your family, add your story in the comments. What surprised you? What helped? What you wish you'd known sooner? Your experience will help someone else breathe easier and take the next right step.